I want to call to order the meeting of the Public Safety Committee for September. Good to see each and every one of you here tonight. We'll begin with the approval of our minutes from our Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Reed. I've reviewed the minutes from August 28th, find it ought to be in order, and make the motion to approve as mailed.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have the second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, minutes have been approved. Moving into item 2, we have public comments. We haven't had anyone to call in, so we will move on to the next item, which is item 3, our Juvenile Detention Report. Welcome our Director, Lynn Duke.
Our report for the month of August, as you are used to seeing. First thing is going to be our minutes from our board meeting. Our yearly activity report, where we have a outstanding bill from Benton County, but I don't think that that's one that we're going to worry about. It's we always bill after our meeting, so it just takes a minute for it to catch up. Our STD stats were a little high this month. We will be getting those young people treated before they leave, or tracking them down anonymously after they leave. And really the only other thing that I was going to point out in this report is just sort of informationally. We did have a visit from Ray County Juvenile Detention Center. They wanted to come and see how we are handling our education at our facility. They had heard through the grapevine that we were doing a fabulous job, and they wanted to see if we were doing anything that they could take back to their facility. And besides that, I'll answer any questions that you have.
Commissioners, you've heard the report. Any questions?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved. Commissioner Beverly had a second. Commissioner James, further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? The report has been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 4, Emergency Services, Public Safety Director, Chris Clark. Good evening, sir.
Chairman, committee. Hopefully before you is our monthly report from July 18th to August the 18th. I will entertain any questions that you may have.
Questions?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion approved. Commissioner McMurray.
Second.
Second. Commissioner Sereno. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That report has been approved. I believe you've got something on radio systems or whatever?
Status quo.
Okay.
We've still been working in there. Inside our report is the radio system. So still moving on.
All right. Thank you, sir. Item 5, Emergency Medical Service. Director Brian Gaither.
Good evening. For the month of August, we had 3,655 calls, response time of 6 minutes and 55 seconds. We collected $808,624. On the next page is some in-service training and some community relation events we worked. On the convalescent side, 521 calls, collected 152,451. And then a little different report this month, trying to give you a little more data within the service. This just became available to us over the last couple of months, but kind of breaks down the call volume and the call volume for the shifts, call volume and area codes. And on one of the last pages, it's unit utilization, so, and it's, you know, it varies per truck, but, you know, somewhere around 40 to 50 minutes per call. So you look at the amount of calls that that unit made for the month, multiply that by the minutes, and you can see how much time that they're actually spending on those calls. You know, obviously some stations a little more than others, but, you know, if you get bored later on and kind of do that math, you'll see that some of those stations spend a lot of time in the truck. And that's as accurate as we can get it. After they get to the hospital, they go back in service in 15 minutes. Regardless, they put them back in service. So actually those times are a little longer than what's on there. But a little something to give you a little more detail about our calls and our call volume. And that's my report.
Mr. James?
On this new report, could you try to get the font a little bigger? Because I have some ideas on some of the print that I can't really read through. Even when I zoom in on it comes in too fuzzy to get some of the numbers.
And we can work on it for next month.
That's just kind of but on the response time, what would you say is you had, because being an average, what's the fastest and what's the longest time that you've had? Because I can't read these numbers.
Between, let's see, so if you look, and I don't know what page it is because it's not numbered, but you know, the average response time is 6 minutes, 55 seconds, and then, you know, the response time per unit. And like the Eagleville unit, they average 8 minutes and 20 seconds, but it's a bigger area that they're responding to. So the ones in Murfreesboro normally are a little shorter, but we really don't, just because they're here don't mean they made the call here. They may be stationed here but go to Laverne to make a call. And I didn't include it this month, but we are working on a report that shows in the north end of the county, there's 4 units down there, so we're showing how many responses are made into that area of the county that's not the 4 trucks that are stationed down there. And it averages about 2 or 3 calls per day. And that's calls, not just standbys.
So you're working on getting where it's even broken down further to have not just their primary response, but their secondary ring and tertiary ring, et cetera.
Right.
So, okay. Yeah, that's just where the numbers came in. As I zoom in on the iPad, it's still too fuzzy for me to really make out the numbers. That's why I was asking for those numbers.
This just became available in our PCR system over the past month, so this was kind of thrown together pretty quickly. So I think it'll get better each month.
Move to approve.
A motion to approve. Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed. Before you sit down, let me say something. We have placed these new public health and safety buildings on school property. And of course, they're just now opening, but the one out at Rockvale, just to give you some idea of what we are seeing with these, just the other day, they had a child that fell on the playground right at the time that the school was getting ready to dismiss. And I don't know how many of you have ever been through these school zones when they are in the process of dismissing. Traffic is something else. Well, the call went out from that school asking for an ambulance. I got this word back through that staff and whatever, and they were talking about by the time they made that call, Brian, that ambulance was there. And helping that child, and they had to take the child in because he had broken a bone and whatever. But they were just singing the praises of that ambulance being on that campus in the same spot that they are, and your response time there was pretty fast. But we're going to see this more and more, so we place these near these schools and what we're doing there. So I think this is one of the positives that we'll be seeing out of this and where it's coming from. But
Especially in the Kittrell area, because that is, that's way out there. So anytime there's a call out there, that response time is
just right there at the
increased.
Kittrell School, that elementary school. So it's there too. So I think this is something you're going to be seeing more and more as we place these that away, and that was some of the things that we were looking forward to and hoping that we could be seeing these things from them. Thank you. All right, Fire and Rescue Report. Chief Larry Fartley.
Good evening. For the month of August, we had 7 structure fires, 7 vehicle fires. We ran 376 medical calls. We had 83 MVAs for a total call volume of 686 calls. For the year to date, we've had 61 structure fires, 44 vehicle fires. We ran 2,583 medical calls, and we've had 557 MVAs. 20 of those were with extrication, and that number has gone up. Year to date, we've ran 5,055 calls. Give you an idea, we took possession of the Rockville Station August the 18th. And this report here is showing from August 18th to September 21st. And we've ran a total of 109 calls out at the station. That's right about 31 days. And then you see that they're broke down. The MVAs are not broke down in that line item, but there's 109 calls we've made out at the station. For Kittrell, we actually took possession when Kittrell shut down the next day. This is from April the 26th through September the 19th. And Kittrell has run a total of 328 calls out of that station since we started manning that area out there. 12 of those are structure fires. We had 155 medical calls, 4 vehicle fires. And it seems like the MVAs have gone up on John Bragg Highway too. That being a long stretch of highway, there's been a lot more MVAs out there for some reason. Total volume, including the volunteers, we've had 74 structure fires, 103 brush fires, 57 illegal burns, 68 vehicle fires, 37 hazmats, 926 MVAs, and 21 of those were with extrication, and for a total of 6,166 calls. The next sheet is showing the 3 damaged structures that I send to the Codes Department and to the tax assessor's office. Next report is our fire investigation report, and showing the outcome on each one of those. And the next report is the illegal burn report in those locations. And that concludes my report.
Questions? Commissioner?
Thank you. Chief, let me ask you a quick question. You shared with us the production for Kittrell and for Rockville since taking over there. What would you say about that production in comparison to prior to before you took over?
Well, the volunteers were responding out of there, and of course they don't run medical calls, and they might respond to an MVA, but they didn't do extrication. So I feel like the service has gone up in those areas. And plus, there are also times when the volunteers might not be available, but so we're making every call out there, and our response time is a lot quicker.
So you would say it's been a positive
Yes, ma'am.
change?
I would definitely say it's been a big positive.
Right. Thank you.
If I may, I have a question just to go through. I was looking at this sheet, the Rutherford County Fire Rescue breakdown for all the call volume with the total of 5,055 calls. Looking at it, your primary thing was line 32, is the emergency medical service, which was 2,583. But then the next one was line 62, dispatched and canceled en route, 1,479 calls.
Well, what that is, we might be dispatched to a structure fire, and a deputy may get on the scene and say it's not a structure fire, they're burning brush behind the house. something like that, or we could be paged out for a fire alarm. And then by the time we get out of the station, they'll call dispatch the alarm system and say, well, it's a false alarm, so we just signal 9. So that's what a lot of those are.
Okay, that makes sense, but I'm just looking at it and wanting to voice concern and caution, because with our aging fleet of vehicles and the wear and tear and even just the fuel costs and the cost of the tires pulling the tread on them, if we can minimize how often some of them that are way outside of scope are dispatched, that might bring that number down. It's just so far up, it just feels like there's something, but I don't want any services to risk being missed or needed.
When we're paged out, we're going to go. We've got no choice. We've got to go. So if we get canceled, the quicker we get canceled, the quicker we can get back at the station. But I mean, if we're paged out, we have to respond.
Oh, I agree with that. I understand. I'm just wanting to voice out concern that with the aging of the fleet and with the wear and tear of the vehicles, that we need to kind of be ready, because how many you have that are coming up on end of life?
Well, I don't have, in life, we've got several of them, all except probably 1 or 2 that's got over 100,000 miles on them. So, but as we get these stations online and get the trucks out, get the apparatus, it's going to cut down on that mileage, because excuse me, when we first started, Barfield was the only station. We were covering the entire county. So now as we get with these stations are placed, then they'll respond out of that station, so they hopefully won't be driving as far. We'll be able to keep the mileage down on them.
Okay, thank you for that. Move to approve.
Motion to approve. Have a second. Commissioner Oliver. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed?
Chief Farley. Quick question. I noticed on the news this morning there was a firefighter injured. Was it Rutherford County or Murfreesboro?
Murfreesboro.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
If it was one of ours, I would have mentioned it, but yes, sir, it was Murfreesboro.
Okay, I just wanted to check on it in case. Thank you.
Yeah, and I want to thank all you commissioners who showed up for our open house yesterday. Appreciate the support very much. Thank you.
Be asking that the sheriff's office be coming forward, but let me also say, those of you that were there yesterday for the open house at Kittrell, appreciate you being there. It was another outstanding open house, just like we had at Rockville. But I explained at this one yesterday the fact that we have 2 names out there on that building saying it's a public health and safety building, and we don't want to leave off the factor that we have health on there. And we had our health department director that's part of this as well. And I was talking to him yesterday that beginning, I think around the 1st of November, I know for the Kittrell station, we'll be looking at giving flu shots in that station. We don't have the exact date, October 1st, so he's going that direction. So he was setting all this up. So those stations are going to be becoming vital to these rural communities that we say that. Now, we say rural, it's not all that far out there, but yet it makes it convenient for individuals living in those areas not having to come all the way into Murfreesboro to do some things. So October the 1st, they're going to be giving flu shots out there at the Kittrell station. So we're going to be having those facilities available to do more of these things. That's going to be available to the community, and as we bring more of these online, it's going to bring the community into what we have there, and that's going to become something that they'll recognize more and more often. So, Chief, I ask that you come forward now.
Good afternoon.
Steve Spence.
Good afternoon. Our inmate population this afternoon was 758. Tennessee Correctional Institute did their yearly inspection of the jail last month. We passed with no issues noted. This was the 7th year we've passed. We had a new hire orientation class starting September the 11th. We had 2 new SROs to start and 8 patrolmen. Over the last couple of weeks, Detention's had 8 new deputies, and they had 3 to start this morning. That's in my report.
Questions on the report?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion and a second. I believe we got a question coming up over here.
I do have a question. Could you repeat what you said about the SROs, please?
Yes, ma'am. We had a new hire and orientation class September the 11th. We had 2 new SROs and 8 patrolmen to start that day.
Where does that put us relative to our SROs in the school?
It's leaving 9 openings, and those are the new ones that we got approved for this budget. All the schools are covered.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions? If not, all those in favor of approving the report, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? It is approved. I believe you have some budget amendments.
Yes, sir. This budget amendment allocates $514,067 for the financial year 23-24. Funds awarded to Rutherford County for the Mental Health Patient Transport Appropriation Grant. Funds will be used for the other contracted transport services and adding cameras to our existing mental health transport vans. Asking to put $499,067 into our other contracted services and $15,000 into our data processing line item.
Commissioner, you've heard the request for the budget amendment.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve, Commissioner James, second. Commissioner McMurray. Discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Beverly?
Yes.
Commissioner McMurray?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver?
Aye.
Chairman Reed?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion does pass.
This amendment is being requested to recognize revenue and expenses for the new financial 24 teen driver grant program for the Sheriff's Office to utilize the SRO overtime for teen events and related benefits. The new grant period of the performance is October the 1st of 23 through September the 30th of 24. This grant requires no match. It's a total of $20,000.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second. Any question? Please call the roll.
Commissioner McMurray?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver?
Aye.
Commissioner Beverly?
Yes.
Chairman Reed?
Yes.
Motion passes.
This amendment is to recognize revenue and expenses for the new financial year 24 Tennessee Highway Safety Office Community-Based Police Traffic Safety Enforcement and Education Program Grant, PTS program for the Sheriff's Office, awarded for overtime-related benefits and law enforcement equipment. The new grant period of performance is October the 1st of 23 through September 30th of 24. This grant requires no match. The total of $150,000.
Commissioners, you've seen the grant.
Move to approve.
Over.
Second.
Approve Commissioner Rather, second Commissioner James. Further discussion? Please call the roll.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver?
Aye.
Commissioner Beverly?
Yes.
Commissioner McMurray?
Yes.
Chairman Reed?
Yes.
Motion passes.
This amendment is to recognize the revenue and expenditures for the new award financial year 2022 Bureau of Justice Assistant State Criminal Aliens Assistant Grant Award for construction and building improvements to the Adult Detention Center, using the funds to replace door locks in the cells and replacing the pads on a padded door cell. It's a total of $56,156. This is a reimbursement for undocumented subjects that was incarcerated at the jail.
Questions?
Move to approve.
Move to approve. Commissioner Sereno. Second, Commissioner Rather. Any questions? Please call the roll.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver?
Aye.
Commissioner Beverly?
Yes.
Commissioner McMurray?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes.
Motion passes.
This budget amendment allocates funds awarded to the Rutherford County for the Tennessee Corrections Institute Jail Financial Year 23 Training Equipment Grant. There's a no-match grant. The period of performance is October 15th, 23 through April 30th of 24. The scope of the project is to purchase 19 laptops, adapters, a wireless access point, and flash drives for training, a total of $15,000.
Commissioners, you've seen the grant request.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion to approve has been made and second. Question? Call the roll.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver,
Aye.
Commissioner Beverly,
Yes.
Commissioner McMurray,
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner James,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Did we have a question over here?
Well, point of order. Chief, you were very fast.
Sorry.
On the grant for the 150,000, originally, I was going to adjust my glasses and you thought I was signaling to the second. Actually, Chairman Sereno had it if you need that for. I'll be happy to keep it the same and second that as well, but I just wanted to point that out.
Leave it as is.
Chief, you're very fast. You kept.
Sorry about that.
Once you get moving, you got to jump in here. All right, pause. Good evening, sir. Michael Gregory.
Good evening, thank you. For the month of August, we had 488 animals come into the shelter. Our euthanasia rate was 6.5%. Live release rate for dogs was 86%. Cats were 93.3%. And overall, when wildlife were included, a 90.6% rate. Our officers completed out 1,265 calls for the month, traveling 8,713 miles. Fiscal year to date, we've had 899 animals into the shelter. Our live release rate is 90.4%. Our officers have completed 2,713 calls, traveling 18,577 miles. Our rabies exposure and bite report, if you'll again recall, this goes by calendar year, not by fiscal year. You can see that for the month of August, we had 31 animals, or 31 bites. 2 of those were sent for testing. Neither came back positive. Other exposures, we had 2. 1 was sent for testing. It did come back as a positive. It was a skunk in the Buchanan zone, and it had gotten into a fight with a dog. The last page of the report is just the visual that I give you all of our animal outcomes versus our euthanasia rate. And that is my report for this evening, sir.
You have the report. Mr. Rather.
Director Gregory, I noticed you have on here nearly 1,000 people came in looking for a lost or new pet.
For the month of August, yes, sir.
All right, in 1 month. I don't need specifics, but what do you think's the ratio between lost or new? How many of those are looking for new versus lost?
I would say out of that, if I had to guess a percentage, I would say it's probably 80-20, 80 looking for a new pet or just coming in to browse, and probably 20% looking for a lost pet, if I had to imagine. Yes, sir.
I was just curious. Thank you.
I don't have a way of breaking that down, but that, just based on experience, I would say that it'd probably fall within that range. Yes, sir.
Other questions?
Yes, please. Director Gregory, I was looking at your activity report by jurisdiction, and I was just kind of curious, and this may have been on here before, how do you complete more calls than received?
That could be calls that are carried over from previous month or calls that have been reset. That were still, that, you know, may have been started in August, but may have been completed out, or started in July, completed out during the August. It also could be calls that have been open for quite some time to where a subject may have had a warrant out against them that was served and went to court, so that's why it was completed out during that time.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm wondering how your backlog for the public who's wanting to turn their animals over?
It's still about the same as it was. We're still facing the same scenarios. We did stop doing the wait list just to make sure that we didn't get so far in that we were never going to be able to catch up, which is what a lot of other shelters are doing as well. They're not doing a wait list. So we still do have that wait list that we're trying to keep updated, but as folks call in, we're still providing resources, but they're not going on a wait list with an unknown time of when that would be.
I'm wondering is there like some program where like you just take a picture and add to the board in there or something so that the community that's coming in looking for a specific type of breed or dog, that they could look through that and help thin out that wait list more?
There's some national websites and whatnot that they're given as well to where you can do things such as that. Yes, sir.
Anyone else?
Move to approve.
Motion to approve, Commissioner Rather.
Second.
Second, Commissioner James wasn't changing his glasses. All those in favor say aye. Those approve. Motion has been approved. I believe you have a budget amendment?
Yes, sir, I do have an amendment. This is asking to take $7,000 from the PAWS donation line and move over to building improvements. There was money that was included in this year's budget to continue on our flooring replacement project and doing repairs, installing epoxy flooring. The sections that we were trying to get done this year came in $7,000 over what we'd anticipated, so we're asking for PAWS donation line to cover that difference there.
Questions on the amendment, Commissioners?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Do I have a second? Second. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Oliver,
Aye.
Commissioner Beverly,
Yes.
Commissioner McMurray,
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner James,
Yes.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Is that all the business we have?
That is all for tonight, yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. OSHA report. I believe tonight that's one will be given by Assistant Director of Safety, Susan Thompson. Good evening.
Before I start my report, I've been asked by EMA Director Chris Clark to update you on the correct date for the flu shot. It's going to be November 1st that's available. The OSHA report for August 2023, we had a total of 22 incidences, which brings our year-to-date total to 149, with 99 of those being OSHA recordable, with 19 lost day claims, 58 restricted day claims, and 22 other recordables. On the next page of the report, you'll see this year's year-to-date total of 149 compared to 2022 at 119 and 2021 at 111. We have been giving you some pre-COVID numbers as well by looking up 2019 numbers, and in 2019 we were at 169 incidences for August of that year. The next page is the incurred dollars. For 2023 is $483,000, 2022 is $437,000, and 2021 is $439,000. 2019 was at $343,000, so that shows you the increase in inflation and how it's affected medical costs. On the last page, the 22 incidences are broken down, 18 at the Board of Ed, 4 at County General. Of those 4 at County General, there was 2 at Sheriff's, 1 at Correctional Work Center, and 1 at the Health Department. I also did a rough estimate on the incident rate that Commissioner Phillips has asked about at a couple of meetings, and the rough estimate for January through July is 2.16. The state average over the last 10 years is 4.59, and Rutherford County's 10-year average is about 2.49. So our incident rate is where it should be at this time. And that concludes my OSHA report.
Questions on the report?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? The report has been approved.
Updated resolution to establish an updated occupational safety and health program plan. It is required by Tennessee OSHA as part of the public sector program that we restate our commitment to occupational safety and health of our employees, and an updated resolution and program plan at least every 7 years. This was last done and approved by the County Commission on August 11th, 2016. The exhibit that you were sent has been reviewed by Nick Christensen, our county attorney, and was also sent to Eric Hennessy. Main thing that's changed are dates, names of the designation of the safety director, and updates according to OSHA's reporting requirements for deaths and loss of eye or amputations.
Questions upon this resolution?
How often do we have to do that, Susan? I don't remember this before.
It's required every 7 years or whenever we have an update to that. So they typically will send us an email notifying us of when it needs to be done. So it's time for that to be done.
Motion to approve.
A motion to approve.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Sereno. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Beverly? Yes. Commissioner McMurray?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver?
Aye.
Chairman Reed?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Resolution passes. Thank you. Court report. Michelle Ricks.
Evening. Here's the recovery court report for August 2023. We have a total of 185 current participants. 50 have completed the application process and are pending court dates before they can enter the program. And we have 69 people currently in our application process. We had 7 graduations and 2 terminations. We have 51 current participants in our drug court, 50 in our mental health court, 70 in our DUI court, which is currently on a waiting list, and 14 in our veterans court. And that concludes my report.
Questions on the report?
Did you say you have 185? Is that on this report?
Yeah, it should be at the bottom. No, it should be.
I just didn't see that number.
It should be on the first page. It says 179, but we've added. On the first page.
Your report's different than ours.
Oh. Okay. I do apologize for that.
It's page 8. Looks like.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, report has been approved.
We also are requesting permission to apply for the Rutherford County Opioid Abatement Council grant. It is a no-match grant with no cap cost. We are currently looking at around $200,000 to cover naloxone vending machines, a full-time or part-time occupational therapist, increasing our fentanyl screening and training for staff and client assistants. And we're requesting permission to apply for this grant.
So you're looking to create another position?
Possibly, yes. Probably a part-time position. We have an occupational therapist that's currently on contract with us through our mental health court grant, but they can only cover that population. So we're wanting to get somebody who would be able to cover the other 3 courts that we have.
What are the potential reoccurring costs with this? And what's the breakdown you said for vending and then the personnel? So
For the occupational therapist?
Like, I'm just wondering how it's broken down, like, what's the cost for the vending machine versus what's the potential cost for the occupational therapist? What's the valuation?
So I did a training recently. The vending machine is running roughly around $5,000 for the machine itself, and then the cost to refill is around $500 for each refill. So we're looking at around $10,000 just so we'll have the money to refill it over the next few years if needed.
So a part-time, where have I lost the term? Part-time occupational therapist could run as high as $185,000?
No, it could probably run, we just overestimated about $100,000 because they are they do make a lot of money, so it is a pretty high cost. Right now, we have one who is with us for 8 hours a week, and it's $30,000.
Other questions?
Yes. Okay, so you say you have a part-time therapist that works with you 8 hours a week, and that's $30,000 for the year?
Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am.
And this grant would be for $200,000?
That's our estimated cost. I wasn't exactly sure how much we needed, so that was kind of an estimate that I wanted to bring to the commission tonight.
And the estimate is based on?
Just the yearly or the hourly rate of an occupational therapist and what we're currently paying for it.
You're looking for a full-time?
Yes, ma'am.
And these are grant funds, so there's like one-time funds, or will you be able to renew this grant? How is that going to maintain that?
It's the opioid abatement grant, so we can ask to renew it yearly.
Comes from the ROB committee.
The ROB grant here with Rutherford County.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to make a motion to approve, but I want to be clear. I'm a little skeptical about a one-time grant to fund a position. I think I can speak for all of us. When this comes, if we are awarded this, if you look back on the Sheriff's Department where they have a dollar amount going for each position and each item, we're going to be looking for that in a budget amendment for salaries, vending machine supply, vending machines. Just because before we spend this money, I don't necessarily have a problem with you applying for it, but we're going to need a lot more detail before we approve the acceptance of that money.
I second that.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion further? You might want to explain the process that you would go through applying this through ROB. You'll be applying through ROB, correct?
Yes, we will. So they have quarterly application process, which the next one is coming up in October. We're hoping to be able to get that one, but if not, we'll have to apply in February. It goes through MTSU. They do a vetting process, and that is with our Rutherford County council here.
And all of you do understand what ROB is and how ROB operates.
And I believe they have a pretty long grant term. It's like 18 years or something, so those funds are going to be there for a long time.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Madam Secretary, I wish that you would call the roll.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner McMurray,
I mean, she's a Michigan fan, so I don't know. No. Yes.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner James,
No.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver,
Aye.
Commissioner Beverly,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay.
And we have a second grant request. It's with the state opioid abatement grant, so not the county one, but the state. They have a pot of money as well. It is also a no-match grant. We are projecting a cost of around $350, and that's going to cover some data tracking, which we don't really have right now, so it would be something that I've been looking into getting for all of our programs, so we can track not just our opioids usage, but also our recidivisms. A van that we can use to transport clients to appointments, to classes, to court. We have a lot of people who have transportation issues, and finding and bringing in some medically assisted treatment services. So for that's your Suboxone, naloxone, Vivitrol, all those that assist with substance abuse disorders.
Questions?
I think I need to correct you. I heard you say $350, but it's $350,000.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to correct that. I don't know if I heard it wrong or what.
Sorry about that.
I would make the same comment that my colleague made earlier about having a little bit more detail here, and also just kind of pointing out hiring an employee with one-time funds. So that might be something, again, that we'll be looking for, that kind of detail before approving to accept funds.
Did you make a motion or no? I was going to second. Commissioner Oliver, were you making that motion to? Oh, okay.
Make a comment only is all I heard.
I had a comment kind of similar to the previous grant. It feels like the valuation is very bloated for the items listed here. So what kind of breakdown are you looking at this percentage to go? Wondering what kind of, if we're another part-time employee, of course, the 15-passenger van, are you buying the van, or you already have the van, you're operating it? Because
We would need to cover the cost of the van.
purchase the van, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm assuming the data tracking would be a bit costly there. So I'm just kind of trying to understand the breakdown between the various different things. Was it a fixed funded amount from the grant that you're using within the criteria that they presented to you to how to, fill the number, or are you? No,
it was no fixed funded. We were just we took estimates of what these items may cost. So your data tracking is around $20,000 to $50,000 depending on who we use. The van may be $30,000 to $40,000. Wasn't really sure about that medically assisted treatment just because we'd have to contract with another agency, and I didn't have time to get those numbers before we came today.
Well, with the methods of treatment and then the part-time driver, you still got $250,000 in your request. So I'm with the others kind of concerned about such a high evaluation that could come back around during budget session and say, hey, this grant's not available. We need to come to the decision. We need to either, officially put this guy's in your budget or fire him, let him go. And I don't like to do that if I can be prepared on the front end to find the right numbers. So once again, with personnel involved in this grant like that, it's kind of caution for me.
Okay, commissioners? Have a motion or?
Move to approve.
Motion to approve. And a second. Call the roll.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
No.
Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver?
No.
Commissioner Beverly? Yes. Commissioner McMurray?
Yes.
Chairman Reed?
Yes.
Motion passes.
And we have one more budget amendment. It wasn't on your tablets, but I have the paper that I'll pass out, and our reentry coordinator is going to tell you about those.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lindsay Davis, the Reentry Program Coordinator underneath the Recovery Courts. So the only thing I have before you tonight, which Director Ricks is passing out right now, I'll wait until everyone gets a copy.
And commissioners, this was submitted the 21st, I believe is what the date was, so it just didn't get in here.
So we are requesting to move $9,190 from our supply line to the furniture line to help fund the reentry career training grant, the classroom that we're building out at the Correctional Work Center. We were able to buy curriculum with another grant funding. Questions?
Move to approve.
Got a motion to approve and a second. Further discussion? Please call the roll.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver?
Aye.
Commissioner Beverly?
Yes.
Commissioner McMurray?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Chairman Reed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Probation? Alicia Phillips.
Evening. For the month of August, we terminated 176 cases for 154 individuals. For the month of August, we supervised 1,147 people. We had 98 people in our programs, 40 of which successfully completed that program, and we did not have any that were discharged unsuccessfully from their program in the month of August. In regards to our olive branch, we were able to assist 10 individuals, 5 of which were experiencing homelessness and 5 individuals that had either been recently released or fallen on hardship. We did receive some random food items for our pantry. I did list some of those as well. Some peanut butter crackers, canned vegetables, things like that that are easy for people to take with them. In regards to our 10 Rocks program, we currently have, or did have in the month of August, 29 active participants in that program. Right now, in the month of August, we had 3 individuals that had applied and been accepted into the program, but we're just waiting on their court date. And I would like to add also that this will be my month's report next month, that we did have 4 graduate our program on Thursday, which was very exciting. That was our first graduation since this program started, but I'll share more about that next month. In regards to our expenditures versus our revenues for the month, we had a difference of $109,714.44. In the month of August, we turned over $25,757 in probation fees to the clerk's office to collect on a payment agreement. In the month of August, there was $6,386.95 in probation fees that were owed, and those individuals did not enter a payment agreement with the clerk's office. So far this fiscal year, we've turned over $38,990 to the clerk's office to be collected on payment agreements. And so far this fiscal year, there's been $8,715.95 owed in probation fees, and those individuals did not enter a payment agreement with the clerk's office. And as of August, we have 9 individuals that have been deemed indigent by the court. And that would be my report.
Questions?
I do have a question. I know we're entering the fall, winter, holiday season, all of that. Relative to your pantry, maybe in your report next time, can you let us know what your needs are?
Sure.
So we can kind of...
And to add on that, I appreciate you asking too. In the month of October, we do plan and intend, we have a flyer made. It's not finalized, so I didn't want to bring forth something that we hadn't given we love it. So we're doing a kickoff in the month of October, so as long as I get the go-to from the mayor, then I'd like to send that out to everyone prior to the next public safety report, and it does have more specific needs, so thank you.
Other questions? Or I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, Commissioner McMurray. And a second, Commissioner Oliver. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Report has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Correction Work Center report. While you're coming up, we have been corrected on the flu shots at the Kittrell Public Health and Safety Building. It is November 1st. When it'll be. Okay, sir.
Captain Smitty, Correctional Work Center. Our report is as follows. We have our monthly work center board meeting. If you have any questions about that, the minutes are included. We have the Tier 1 accreditation certificate that Superintendent Cope talked to you all about last month, I believe. We got the certificate for that a couple weeks ago. Our work release program is staying about the same total participants. Everything is working great with that. Our yearly activity report, you can see it's staying about the same. Population is holding around the same. It increased a little bit. Trash collected on county roads was 9,360 pounds collected, and state routes we collected 737 bags. And our worker report, we sent out approximately 306 workers for the month, and that's a total savings of around $82,000 for the county. And that concludes my report.
Any questions?
Yes, sir. When you talk about release versus removed, what would be a reason for removal? I'm going to assume release means they've completed their sentence. But
Yes,
what
yes,
would
removed-
remove mean?
Removed is like if they're on the work release program, they would be removed from that program.
Other questions?
Move to approve.
Motion approved. Commissioner James.
Second.
Second. Commissioner Sereno. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Your report has been approved. Thank you, sir. Just let me say one other thing about yesterday. I had the opportunity to ask a young lady to sing the Star Spangled Banner for us, or the national anthem, and she was outstanding, and she's sitting back here tonight. Miss Lisa Kay did that for us, and I want to tell you, I told her tonight, I said, get ready. Everything coming up, you're going to be called on to sing for us. But she did an excellent job, and I think we should all be proud of her and what she did as not only our public information officer, but she's a very good singer, and we really appreciate it. Thank you, Lisa.
She also sung at the Recovery Fest as well. She did God Bless America and another song as well. So she's making her rounds here in Rutherford County.
She's going to be on, what's one of those talent shows on television? She's going to be there before we know it.
I think Rutherford County has talent,
Yeah, there you go.
something like that.
But we appreciate you. You did a great job. Anything else should be coming before this committee? Yes, sir.
I have one thing, and it's either for you or Chairman Phillips, just to clarify something. The grant request, it's a request. We don't know if we're getting that money or not. So when you request $350,000, you kind of have an idea of what you want to do with that money, but there's no specifics, no details. When, let's say we got it, at that point, we, budget or the whole commission has to recognize the receipt of that money and where it goes and what line item, and then the specifics come in. Here's what we're going to do with the money, and here's the cost. Is that correct?
Pretty much, we have to accept it after it's been approved.
But at that time is when we have to figure out the exact, not the exact, but specific cost or more detail than what we had tonight. Is that pretty true? Right now, it's a grant request.
Chairman Reed, the answer to that is pretty much yes. You receive budget amendments just like you received tonight with an explanation of where that's going to go. That's not an indication that you have to approve it the next year. A lot of these grants are repeated year after. That should have been or would have been a good question to ask. Is this something that we can apply for again next year? Whether or not we can, I'm just not sure. But it's explained in the budget amendment if it's approved as to where those funds goes and what they're used for. And the appropriate follow-up question is, what are you going to do next year if we don't have a grant? So it'll either go into their budget as a budget increase, or one of those two. We can approve it or not approve it the following year. We received a lot of, I don't know, it's actually what I call seed money. When we've started our fire departments, we received a lot of 5-year type of grants to seed those fire departments, and then after those 5 years are over, those responsibilities are ours. And some of the seed money is similar to that. We can make a decision as to whether or not we want to keep it. And public safety, we're pretty much committing that we'll take that process over after that seed money runs out. This might be a little bit different.
Well, I noticed on the document from the recovery court, it said available funds, unlimited amount, reapply yearly. And this is going to go on for a lot of years. And I think the state of Tennessee just won a lawsuit with some company that's going to bring in tens of millions of dollars. So this is going to be recurring and ongoing for quite a while. I just wanted to clarify that, hey, we're just applying. If we get it, then we'll have the information that we need to have to make a better decision on what to do with the money and where it's going and how it's going to work. But I did see at the very top, unlimited amount, apply yearly. So it is recurring, and it's going to be that way for years, maybe.
It is that, and that's one reason I was asking that y'all do understand what Rutherford County Opioid Board is. And the thing is, too, you got to understand, they are, as she was saying there, she'll be requesting this, and this still has to go through the process of that board. And we have just changed our process. It's not necessarily going to be showing up to the members of the board. We're now going to work with MTSU, who will also be evaluating the request. And they have a process that they'll go through to look at what's asked for, what's qualified, and bringing it back to us at the opioid board on what can be done that way too. But as you're totally right, this will go on for several years now, and what we're having to do there. So there's a lot more involved in this than just applying for a grant from the state of Tennessee out here. So that's why I suggested that what we're going through that. And in fact, every month, Lisa back here prepares us a whole report on where we are and what we've done. And there's a lot involved into it. It's just not a group of people up here meeting. It's a whole lot of things that do happen. So it'll be looked at very, very close and how it goes there. And at that time, there will be some understanding of where that grant will go. I think tonight she was just coming up with that figure and that idea of where to go. So that's what we've had.
Just to follow up, that our opioid committee, I still call it opioid committee, our opioid committee is, in my mind, heads and shoulders above any other structure in the state. These type of grants, people are coming to us, asking for us to apply for these things. So it's not that we're seeking a lot of these. It's that the reputation that Rutherford County has right now is head and shoulders above anyone else in the state. That's to be commended for the hard work that committee has put in. And to continue to get additional funds like this is, in my mind, a real tribute to what our county is doing, and other counties continue to look at Rutherford County for guidance as to what we're doing, just like Chairman Reed said about MTSU. That relationship with MTSU will probably be repeated through several other counties, especially throughout Middle Tennessee. So they're building on what Rutherford County has done. Some of the grants that we've applied for, I don't mean to say that they're a done deal, they're not, but some of these grants are grants that the state needs to spend. And right now, the Rutherford County has the reputation of taking care of those funds and spending them in a very wise manner. And I'm positive that this will happen here. Hopefully, most of those grants will continue for years, just like our opioid settlement is like a 20-year process going out. So maybe they will. I'm pretty sure, my guess is that they will be repeated.
I'd just like to say thank you for this discourse, because this helped me.
Okay. Any other business come before this committee? If not, we are adjourned.